Man, I cried when Stuart Scott died. I subconsciously looked up to him, and it didn't hit me until yesterday. He was the first person on television who looked like me, quite frankly, mainly because there was a lack of representation for black males, who spoke to different groups simultaneously without alienating anyone. And he did it with class, professionalism, and a stern sense of authenticity. And that resonated with everyone. So I cried when he died. He's known for intertwining the hip-hop generation, but current mainstream hip-hop is not like it was when he started. Hip-hop is essentially a mixture of blues, jazz, funk, R&B, a little bit of rock. If you aren't, aware of the history of hip-hop, you can understand why he was able and why he felt necessary to use some of that language in his sports broadcasting career. He felt like there was a segment of the population that was untapped, and I think everyone appreciated that, especially ESPN. Back then, mainstream hip-hop wasn't dominated by trap, gangster music like it is now. Back then, you had more options, more different perspectives on the human condition. On one hand, you had NWA, but you also had Tribe Called Quest, Tupac and Biggie, Black Star, Mos Def, and Talib Kweli, Outkast, Scarface, The Fugees, Lauryn Hill's solo career, Nas, D'Angelo. Hip-hop, R&B was a multi-dimensional marriage. During his sports broadcasting career, he gave voice to the voiceless, that of the hip-hop generation, but it wasn't gangster hip-hop, which is a genre in and of itself. He basically used little snippets, little phrases and idioms that could be found in African-American barbershops. And he did this all while not alienating the rest of his audience. Every single person, all Americans, can relate and resonate to what he was saying. He made broadcasting cool. Oh, da-na-na, da-na-na, booyah! Stuart was cooler than the other side of the pillow. I have a lot of real-life role models in my life. Frank Bobo. These are men you don't know. Frank Bobo, Kenny Carswell, and I think Stuart Scott, at least in the public sphere, helped shape my manhood as well, in a way, especially when it comes to making videos and doing multimedia stuff. Stuart Scott was definitely there. I wrote an article for Oogie Woogie. I'm going to read it to you now with the slideshow of his pictures. I also wrote an article about the current state of mainstream hip-hop, which is a horrible state right now. I use Dante's Inferno as a huge metaphor for the entire article. So check both of those things out. Once again, I'm reading the article now. Check out the other article later. Rest in peace, Stuart Scott. We will continue to feel your legacy in the sports world, in our world. And we thank you. One love, peace, and be free. Stuart Scott. Fatherhood, sports, and hip-hop. Quote, "When you die, it does not mean you lose to cancer. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live." End quote. Stuart Scott. At the young age of 49, we lost our beloved Stuart Scott to cancer, a battle that has claimed close to 600,000 lives in 2014. The celebrated ESPN and ABC sports anchor rose to prominence on ESPN SportsCenter in 1993. He transcended sports, and for 2 decades, Americans bore witness to his groundbreaking ability to meticulously coalesce hip-hop language and mannerisms to the sports broadcasting profession. Professional. Class. He merged a distinct voice without ever alienating his audience. His major accomplishments is worth a long academic study, perhaps a study on how one man vastly contributed to the cultural lexicon of sports media amidst an expected pushback to what he brought to the proverbial table. He was well-spoken. His outgoing demeanor, strong interpersonal skills outshined his hip-hop and explicit African-American nuances and casual banter. It was that outshining that kept him from being solely defined by that hip-hop generational edge. He was a stern professional. His entire repertoire brought ESPN a whole new audience, rhythm, and look. We give thanks to ESPN for giving him the carte blanche to engage the audience through his unwavering authenticity. And despite Americans' insatiable appetite for the race narrative, I even feel awkward speaking on it in regard to his legacy, it was glaringly clear that he transcended sports and race. He was unapologetically himself. There are men who exist in this world for the sole purpose of making millions of people satisfied with life. And to a large extent, he was that man. His enthusiasm and voice radiated through the screen, and suddenly, sports didn't feel like a mere escapism anymore. It felt like a conversation about human feat and competition, triumphs and failures. And outside of his contributions to sports vernacular, catchphrases like "booyah" or "cool as the other side of the pillow," he was a devoted family man. He embodied that lovely reputation for being a diehard father to his 2 daughters, a sentiment shared between him and the then Senator Barack Obama during an interview in 2008, a sentiment he shared with the world during his brilliant speech while receiving the Jimmy V. Perseverance Award at the ESPYs. It's now time for an ESPY award under his name, which will teach children and young adults to be family-oriented, demonstrate class, be professional, and perhaps more importantly for the millennial, be the authentic you.